When LaMelo Ball was drafted 3rd overall by the Charlotte Hornets, the expectations were extremely high. Melo has been a polarizing figure for his entire life, and him being drafted was the ultimate opportunity for him to prove that he's been worth all the hype. Up to this point, LaMelo has gotten off to a tremendous start in his NBA career, and he's honestly surpassed a lot of people's expectations, mine included. I'm not surprised by the numbers he's been putting up, but I have been pleasantly surprised by his efficiency, defensive effort, and overall impact on the game. As a rookie, LaMelo Ball is already a really good NBA player, and he's worthy of all the praise that he's been given. However, there comes a point in time when we have to ask ourselves, how much is too much? As I said, LaMelo is worthy of all the praise, but I fear that some people are taking it too far. In order to give you a better idea of where I'm coming from, I'd like to discuss a few narratives that fans have created about LaMelo's career so far. Number 1, LaMelo and his brothers would dominate if they were on the same team. I thought that it would be best to talk about this one first because it really highlights the main issue here. I would say that LaMelo is the most popular rookie in NBA history. He's been in headlines ever since he was 13, and he's developed a massive following over the years. That being said, a lot of his fans are looking at the way in which he and his brothers dominated in high school and projecting that they'll be able to achieve that same level of dominance in the NBA now that they are older. But in reality, that's just not how it works. While you have to be a special talent to be able to dominate in high school, college, or overseas basketball, the truth is that the NBA is filled with 400 to 500 players that were also able to dominate on those same levels. Now look, I think that LaMelo will become one of the better players in the league one day. However, where I diverge from a lot of LaMelo Ball fans is on this idea that he is capable of dominating to such an extreme degree. Because no matter how talented you are, winning championships is not some easy feat. If that were the case, LeBron James would have much more than 4 rings simply because he's been the best player in the world for a large portion of his career. Number 2, his teammates are jealous and are freezing him out. Look, I'm not going to completely dismiss the idea that some of Melo's teammates don't like him, because certain players do become envious when an unproven draft pick comes into the league, making more money than they are. However, if you watch the games, you can see that he has great chemistry with most of his teammates. LaMelo has quickly become one of the leaders on this Hornets team, and you can see that guys in the main rotation such as Rozier, Hayward, PJ, Zeller, Biyombo, Bridges, Monk, and Devontae are all supportive of LaMelo, and they enjoy playing with him. Just because LaMelo doesn't have the ball in his hands 100% of the time doesn't mean that he's being slighted. I'll admit, it's frustrating to watch a player miss an open man, but that's a part of basketball. It happens to the very best players in the league as well. On top of that, LaMelo has the highest usage rate on his team, so it's hard to argue that he's been underused. And at number 3 is this idea that his coach wants to see him fail. I really want to debunk this whole notion that James Borrego is a hater and that he doesn't want to see LaMelo succeed, because when the Hornets selected LaMelo Ball, Mitch Kupchak, who is the general manager of the team, said he is 19 and he's going to come on to a team where there are players who have NBA experience, and we're hopeful that he works hard and earns any minutes that he gets this year. So from the jump, the organization wanted to set a precedent that every player would have to earn their minutes and that nothing would be given. Just because James Borrego embraced that same mentality with his rotations doesn't mean that he wants to see LaMelo fail, because if that were the case, Ryan Saunders must have wanted to see Anthony Edwards fail since he was coming off the bench to start the season, and Steve Kerr must really hate James Wiseman because despite being a starter in his first 16 appearances, Wiseman has come off the bench in the last 4 games that he's played in favor of Kevon Looney. The common theme that you're seeing here is that LaMelo is some perfect player that can simply do no wrong. Look, if you want to say that LaMelo is going to be one of the greatest players ever, or even the greatest player of all time, I won't agree with you, but I'll at least respect your opinion. However, what I can't condone is this idea that LaMelo is above everyone else, and that if people don't bow down to him at every opportunity, they're labeled as jealous haters. I'll always be a big fan of LaMelo. I think he's going to be a great player one day, but these types of comments are going to do 2 things. Number 1, they're going to, in all likelihood, turn a lot of fans on LaMelo. Even if you're a fan of his game, it is annoying to see anyone being placed on such a high pedestal to the point that they are considered untouchable and without any flaws. I'm not trying to compare LaMelo to LeBron, but I believe that a big reason that people hate on LeBron is because he was prematurely compared to Jordan, and in some cases ranked above Jordan despite the fact that he hasn't even finished his career yet. The point being that people don't like when you hype a player up to be something before their career has even ended, and it can cause people to root against a certain player. In the case of LaMelo, his career has barely even started, yet there are fans of his that are treating him as if he were one of the greatest players of all time that is above any ounce of criticism that he receives. And number 2, it's going to place extremely unrealistic expectations on LaMelo. As I said, fans don't enjoy when players are portrayed as future legends of the game when they haven't been in the league for that long. A perfect example would be Luka Doncic. Last season, everyone was talking about how Luka was the greatest second-year player of all time, that he had earned the title of being a top 5 player in the league, and that he had GOAT potential. So now that the Mavericks have gotten off to a slow start this year, many people are saying that Luka is overrated and that he can't carry a team because the media and NBA fans hyped him up so much last year. Ultimately, what's getting lost in all the discussion is that Luka is only 21 years old and that he's still trying to learn and develop his game. I know that it's fun to imagine that we're watching the next Jordan or the next LeBron right in front of our eyes, but can we please just let these young players develop without all this added pressure? Because whether it's Luka being put in the same conversation as LeBron, or LaMelo being labeled as a player that's too good to make a mistake, the end result is going to be excessive nitpicking of their performance going forward. Let me put it this way. You might be watching this video thinking, it doesn't really matter how other people view him, I can watch him through an unbiased lens and simply appreciate his abilities. And if you can do that, that's great, but not everyone will be able to watch him in that way. This is because when there is so much hype surrounding a player, the backlash is so much stronger when said player fails to meet expectations. Look at LeBron. At the very least, LeBron will go down as the second best player of all time, yet people will still hate on him for his failures long after his playing days are over. In all likelihood, LaMelo will not be on the same level as LeBron in terms of ability, however, I could see him being equally as polarizing as LeBron. That being said, many fans of LaMelo will be able to celebrate his victories, but they'll likely never hear the end of his failures from both the media and NBA fans alike. My fear is that it's going to get to a point where we aren't able to watch LaMelo play freely, and instead we'll be watching him hoping that he doesn't make a mistake or have a bad game. To me, it's a real shame that this might be the case because we could be looking at yet another talented player that is dissected, scrutinized, and overanalyzed throughout his entire career.